Hello and welcome to this week's Tech News. Today we'll be talking about Streamlabs Plagiarism and Trademark controversy, Cryptominers targeting CPUs to mine Raptoreum, and more, so stay tuned to find out. And feel free to click on the like and subscribe button if you feel like you've learned something from this video later on. And without further ado, let's get into it. Some of you might have heard of and probably used Streamlabs before, and we wouldn't blame you if you think that Streamlabs OBS and OBS Studio are the same thing. Hint, they're not. Well, not exactly. See, OBS is an open source software, so this means that power users can code their own plugins and casual users can download and use them. Now, Streamlabs does use OBS Studio as their base, which means that they can and do profit off the free open source software since they have the Prime subscription option. But that's not to say that that's a bad thing, since people are free to use OBS Studio however they want. But on a recent Twitter post, OBS Studio called out Streamlabs for trying to trademark the OBS name, which, if they succeed, probably means that Streamlabs could monopolize on the OBS name and have everyone download their version instead. Fortunately, Streamlabs have made a statement on this, saying that they'll be removing the OBS from their name. Although ironically, they mentioned Streamlabs OBS twice in the same post. The controversy doesn't stop there, however, as just before that, Streamlabs was caught plagiarizing their landing page from Livestream, another streaming tool. The comparison here shows that they're almost the same, from the layouts to the wordings, even down to the reviews. Streamlabs has since fixed their site and stated that it was a mistake on their part, and the text they used there was supposed to be a placeholder. Well, we'll let you be the judge of how honest they're being there. So, after all of this being said and done, should you still be using Streamlabs? Well, we won't tell you to stop using it, but since it's pretty much almost the same thing as the original OBS Studio anyway, take it as you will. If you thought that CPUs are safe from crypto mining, well, you might want to rethink that after this. The thing is, recently there's a new coin called Raptoreum that's been making big full swings in crypto world, because miners are now using CPUs to mine this coin. It seems that processors with L3 caches are the most efficient in mining this coin. So Ryzen Threadripper and Epic CPUs seem to be the best ones because they have the largest L3 cache sizes. But since AMD makes them in few units, Ryzen 9 5000 and 3000 series becomes the next best thing for these miners. Now here's a spreadsheet of the CPUs and their performance in mining Raptoreum, and we can see the reason why AMD processors are favored over the Intel ones. Intel Core i9-12900K CPU can only go at around 3700 hash per second, while Ryzen 9 3900 can go at around 4600 hash per second, and that's before any optimization. On average, the Ryzen 9 3900X or 5900X offers around 5100 hash per second, and although overclocking could increase that might not be the best choice considering the power consumption into cost equation. Anyway, the bottom line is, we might not see AMD cutting its CPU prices down much, seeing as how CPU miners are now pushing this into higher demands. NVIDIA'S GeForce NOW has been giving out gamers less than 60 frames per second experience for their priority members. Priority subscribers were supposed to be offered 1080p at 60 frames per second, but some games have been capped at below 60 frames per second. It started from a Redditor and GeForce NOW member reaching out to NVIDIA customer support with a question as of why Guardians of the Galaxy game is capped at 50 frames per second in the setting and could not be modified. NVIDIA customer support has responded to the issue and informed that Guardians of the Galaxy is not the only game that suffers from this, as a number of other games have also been capped, such as Cyberpunk 2077 at 45 frames per second. Soon after that, NVIDIA has also published a detailed list of GeForce NOW games with capped frame rate. NVIDIA didn't mention any limitations placed on the higher tiered RTX 3080 subscriptions, but what they did mention is that they will continue to monitor and get feedback on their optimal playable settings or OPS, which basically means they have artificial limiters in place. I think we can all agree that it's been a pretty bad year for PC gamers, with graphics cards at sky-high prices right now, so I'd say we deserve some good news. ZOTAC has announced a collaboration with the new Resident Evil movie, Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, and for a limited time, you have a chance to win yourself a shiny new special edition graphics card or a mini PC hardware from ZOTAC Gaming. If you want to enter this competition, it's simple. Just challenge yourself with ZOTAC's Escape to Win minigame and enter to win one of the ultimate prizes in the lucky draw. The prizes include the ZBox Magnus 1, which comes packing with an i7 and an RTX 3070 and 2 graphics cards, the RTX 3080 Ti and RTX 3070 Ti, which comes with Resident Evil themed design based on their AMP Extreme Holo series cards. This challenge is only available for a limited time, that is, until December 17th. We'll link that in the description down below. So, what are you waiting for? Intel Core i7-12800H Alder Lake P CPU has just had its performance leaked over at Geekbench, thanks to the Gigabyte engineering team. It seems that they've been testing the Aorus 15YE4 gaming laptop with Geekbench software, and one way or another, we now have some information on this unreleased CPU. This thing apparently sports 14 cores and 20 threads, the cores consisting of 6 performance cores and 8 efficient cores. In the case of the core score, Aorus 15YE4 powered by this Alder Lake P CPU scored 1654 points in the single core test and 9618 points in the multi-core. If we compare both scores with Ryzen 7 5800H, which is one of the most commonly used CPUs by laptop makers for high-end gaming systems, we can see that the Intel CPU is around 25% and 37% faster respectively. And with the CPU allegedly coming soon in January next year, hopefully it won't betray our expectations. And that about covers it for this week. If you've managed to get yourself to this point of the video, give yourself a pat on the back, and consider liking and subscribing to it if you still haven't done that yet. And hopefully we'll see you again next week when we'll cover more tech news. So until then, take care.